when I was a kid and I was looking, as a boy, and I was thinking, what does it mean to be an American man, And I looked at Robert Redford, I looked at his best friend, Paul Newman, and I said those are two men. Those are people that use their power, their privilege, and their good fortune to empower other people. And it made a tremendous impact on my life. Newman's Own gave away hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's right.
The Sundance Institute.
Yeah.
I'm here tonight promoting a show called The Lowdown with one of the most talented young directors I've ever met, who got his nurturing and care and development from what? The Sundance Institute. Like so many filmmakers.
Wow.
When Before Sunrise came out and nobody liked it, you know who liked it? Robert Redford liked it, and he used it to open the 1994-1995 Sundance Film Festival. He was a champion of other people, and he understood how to use his power to empower others.
How did you meet him?
I auditioned for A River Runs Through It. This is a true story. You ready for it?
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. Okay.
So this is the life of a young actor. It's tough. It's amazing. I get an audition for Robert Redford, right?
Yeah.
I get this little speech I'm supposed to memorize, and it's really long. It's like a page and a half long. And I stay up all night working on the speech. I'm working on it. I come into the audition. I'm half an hour early, right? Sitting in a chair like this. They let me in. Mr. Redford, I'll see you now. And I'd been in Dead Poets Society, and so I'd been in some things enough to get the audition, right? But I walked in the room, he shook my hand, he said, "Hey, Ethan, I hear you're from Austin." He knew my name, and he knew where I was from. My brain started to break. Like, how does he? Then I look behind him. Behind him, he's got framed, right behind him is the pistols from Butch Cassidy. Right? He's got the prop pistols framed back there. He's got the skis from Downhill Racer. He has a poster from The Candidate over there, right? And I'm like, all right, I love that movie. There's like the weird raccoon hat from Jeremiah Johnson. I'm like, are you kidding me? And he goes, so you ready to read? And I was like, to be totally honest, sir, I think I'm starstruck. Like I'm not sure I can breathe right now. And if I could just have 60 seconds to step out of the room and come back in again, I'll be ready. And he goes, sure. Gladys, see, Ethan, he wants to come back tomorrow. I don't want to come back tomorrow. Dude, I didn't sleep all night. Now I've got the same speech to come in. So, okay, I go back to my apartment and I'll work on the speech some more.
So he sent you home?
Oh my God, it was torture.
Oh,
okay?
boy.
Absolute torture. I come back in, I say, as soon as I see him, I say, can we read? He said, absolutely. I do the audition, and he's really cool. He looks at me and he goes, I'm an actor. I was like, yeah, I know. And he said, I always give actors a second chance. I give them some notes and I let them try it one more time to see what they're made of. But you nailed it, and you're gonna have a great career, and you're too young for this part. But it was a pleasure to meet you. And I walked out of there just kind of stunned by it was because he's an actor, he knew he just saved me weeks of worrying. It hurt not to get the part.
Yeah.
To know it immediately. And say it to my face. But it was the truth. And he also said something nice, right?
Yeah.
So he said, I'm gonna have a real career. I didn't get the part. I couldn't be sure whether I felt good or bad. And then a couple months later, I'm doing a play in a 99-seat house. I'm talking $10 a ticket. And guess who walks in the back? Robert Redford.
Wow.
Came to see me in this little tiny off-Broadway theater. He came back, and afterwards, he came backstage and said, good job. I tell you, keep doing what you're doing. It's going to go great.
Did you know he was in the theater when you were doing the show, when you were doing the play?
I didn't know till after.
You didn't? Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Really good. Really good. Super good.
The whole audience would have had to wait till tomorrow.
And then...
that could have been inconvenient.
I have a couple. Then the punchline of the story is then when they premiered Before Sunrise, I got to go skiing with him.
You did?
Yeah, and then he kind of kept in touch. And can I tell you the last words he ever said to me?
Yeah.
He said, "Stop wearing a cowboy hat. People think you're losing your hair."
Got to knock this out. Get in some Survivor watching.
True. Premiere, baby. But I mean, it's season 49, so doesn't matter. It's not season 50 anyways, so who really cares?
Are you actually excited for season 50?
Oh yeah, I'm fucking pumped. Come on. All-Star season or Survivor? I mean, we get it every 5 years, so.
But is it really like the cast that you want to see?
I mean, definitely not. No. It's got half of new age players, which you know, nobody really cares about them. I want to see, the all timers, but it should be fun
Yeah, it's
regardless.
because they did 40 winners, right? And
Yeah, well, they just haven't done another like, all-star type season where they bring back, big characters from the
it's like
30s.
half from the last 9 seasons, basically, or the last
Literally.
8 seasons.
Yeah. So kind of the 30s really got screwed because they never had an all-star season because it was replaced by Winners at War, which I mean it was sick, definitely a good replacement, but also have an all-star season. I mean, why can't you do both? Frickin'
Yeah.
Survivor, man. Call
Well,
me Survivor. I got ideas.
51.
True.
I mean, that's the thing. It's gonna keep going.
It should never end in theory. I mean, I think Jeff might retire though. I think Loki after 50 he might be done.
It is an interesting thing. Like 50, it's their quarter quell. They should have they should do it. Quarter quell.
It's true. I think Hunger Games took inspiration from Survivor. So
Well, Jeff Post has to get back to directing movies, Cody. That's his true passion.
did he direct a movie? I think he sent me that one time,
I
but
think
I
he's
don't remember what
directed
it was.
2 films. Well, we have to cover it at some point, I
He's a
think.
good actor, so
We're back. We're doing the pod. We're here after a long hiatus, and I think our first commitment can be that we will cover Jeff Probst's directorial films. He has 2 movies: Finder's Fee from the year 2001, starring
oh, it's got Matthew Lillard and
James Earl
Ryan Reynolds.
Jones, Ryan
Oh,
Reynolds, Matthew Lillard,
oh, and James. Whoa, stat cast working with pros.
and then in 2014 he directed Kiss Me with Emily Osment and Jenna Fisher and some other
Oh, Jenna
people
Fisher.
that I don't
Shout
know.
out. Pros has connections. But yeah, man, we were back potting. How long has it been, man? I don't even know. I feel like it's been
We took a
several
summer off.
months. But hey, nothing wrong with that. You had a lot going on. I had a lot going on. So it was nice for a little break, but I'm definitely pumped to be back, man. Love talking movies with you.
I'm excited as well. Geographically, I've changed locations. Things are changing, and we're back with the pod. Pod's going to be a little bit different. We're still going to be talking movies, still going to be pairing things. Today, the long walk, catching fire. It's an interesting pairing for sure. Of course, with the Francis Lawrence connection. But I got to tell you the story about going to see a movie yesterday. I'm here in Chicago now, Cody,
Hmm.
and Robert Redford recently passed away, of course. R.I.P. to him. And they're showing The Natural and All the President's Men in theaters, just an AMC here. Have you seen either of those?
I've seen The Natural. I think it's okay. Definitely, I saw it when I was a kid, and I was like, "This is kind of dumb," but it's a good dramatic baseball movie.
The Natural was a classic MLB Network bleacher feature, and I did fire it up one time, but didn't make it very far. I do think
Oh
it's a little
wow,
boring, but I wanted to go see All the President's Men because I had never seen that before either. I always take a chance to see stuff like that in theaters. So I get there, 12:30 showing. Sit through the fucking previews. It's the full like 28 minutes of previews. I heard
brutal.
they were cutting back on them, but I haven't seen it happen yet. I'm waiting, Mr. AMC CEO.
It's not gonna happen, I don't think, but hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there through this. I've got another movie set for 4 p.m. I'm going to see a Megadoc, classic, of course. The documentary about the making of Megalopolis. We'll get to that
Gotcha.
later.
Oh Jesus.
Get through the previews. Movie starts. It opens very quietly. There's like a kind of a gray screen, and then there's a typewriter, and then there's more just like stillness as you kind of the opening credits play out. And there was this noise, this like thumping noise, and I was actually sat in like the second row. There was me and another person up there. They were a couple seats down from me, and we both like after the previews and then like turned to hear like what is this noise coming from behind us. It's very strange, very almost rhythmic, and but like just if it sounded like someone was slapping the side of a seat, and I was like, what is going on? So we look at each other and we're sitting there and like, okay, and it doesn't stop. Like it continues on as the movie's starting, and then it transitions into this like scene where you see Nixon. I think he's about to give the State of the Union address, and it's kind of tough because the audio is there's background like news audio, but then there's him moving around, and it's just this noise continues. So I turn and I go, if someone's making a noise back there, can you please stop? And then another person in the theater goes, it's water dripping from the ceiling.
Oh, that makes sense.
There was a bucket just in the back row of the theater, because I guess there's a leak in the roof of this particular theater, just collecting water. So I got up and I walked out. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take the fucking drip, man.
Wow. You said, did you go complain to them or?
I did, and you know what, Cody? I switched to a different movie. I saw the
Oh, nice.
star-studded film Him instead.
It's not a bad switch, actually.
It was a pretty bad switch. I would not recommend that people go see that, and we probably won't ever do a full discussion on
That's
that one.
crazy. Oh yeah, that's gotta be a first water drip. Leaving.
I've
of a
had
theater.
some rough theater experiences, but I
was
will
brutal.
say don't go into theater 14 at the AMC River East.
If you're listening, in Shy, stay away.
The good news is I was able to go see All the President's Men today, so it was all it all worked out.
You got redemption. Was it decent?
I enjoyed it. It is one of those, newsroom movies where you got Redford and Hoffman basically just being like, this guy's name and this guy's name, like, just listing a lot of guys' names and never even really get to see their faces or like make them into the character. So it's a lot to keep track of. I obviously am, aware of what Watergate is and what happened loosely, but the way the investigation kind of played out was very slow and over time, and they had like not a lot of information coming in. So it was kind of curious to see that process happen. And of course, in the greater scheme of, journalistic integrity and what does the presidency look like now? And it's a curious artifact for sure. But I haven't seen a lot of Robert Redford films. Admittedly, of course, I'm familiar with his Captain America work.
Oh yeah, his best work probably. But I'm the same way. I haven't seen a ton from Redford. Honestly, The Natural is probably the only other massive thing I've seen him in. So maybe need to do some work on his filmography. But he's great in Winter Soldier. So RIP.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, an iconic director is the whole reason that the Sundance Film Festival exists. That is the launching ground for a lot of great talents, internationally, people of color. It's definitely a tough loss. He was a very old man as well,
Oh yeah.
So he lived a long life.
And he had a long career in Hollywood too. So definitely, rip to a legend, but he gave us a lot, in movies. So shout out to him.
So today we're talking about The Long Walk first. What was your theater experience like seeing this movie, Cody? Was it better than my dripping water?
I would say it was much, much better. Yeah. So I did see this yesterday, actually, AMC as well. But usually, and I don't know if this is a weird thing, I think this is just me, honestly, but I usually try to wait until like, I don't know, a half hour before the movie before buying tickets, and then like space myself away from a lot of people.
Fair.
Like I'm that guy. But when I got there,
I'm glad you're not the guy that's buying tickets right next to people.
I guess it's definitely better than that.
That's a normal take, I think.
Okay. Well, I feel better there. But when I got there, I was actually sitting directly next to a couple people, which, I mean, again, not a big deal, but I actually had a really good theater experience.
They were the fucking weirdos, is what you're saying.
No, they were actually normal people for once.
Nice.
Because every time I do normally sit next to somebody, like they won't shut up the entire movie. Or I remember one time this guy was on his phone the entire movie and I was livid. But everybody was super nice and respectful.
Regal, where were we at?
I was at AMC. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's an AMC just down the road for me that I prefer to go to, honestly. But I'll start mixing in Regal a little bit more this year, I think. I've been letting them down.
You know me. I'm an AMC guy.
I think they're about the same, honestly. But yeah, I had a really good experience. I think just like the intensity of this movie too leans to a good theater experience. There's a lot of kind of gasp moments, but also some funny, lighthearted stuff. So I think it was a good one to kind of be close to people, ironically, even though I wasn't trying to do that.
It's obviously a Stephen King adaptation, but it's not necessarily a horror movie. However, it is like a horrifying movie. It falls, I think, to that category. It's very, very violent, very visceral, kind of more than I was expecting going in. It opens with a, not to spoil anything, like all these kids, all these guys, these young men die at the end of this, except for one, right? And it starts you off very quickly before the title drop with a kid just getting shot in the head, which I think we can talk about, in the greater scheme of what's happening in the world. Like, that was kind of tough to see for sure.
Yeah, I do think it's tough timing. But it's always tough timing to be fair. But yeah, and I wasn't expecting it to be kind of overly graphic like that because I saw the trailer for this movie and it honestly made me like super super excited just from the premise alone. But I didn't expect kind of like you said, I mean, off the bat, it gets pretty intense pretty quickly. And honestly, too, like that's one of the things I dislike about it a little bit. Not that the gore, is really that bad, but it's kind of just the way that it's shot too, of, it's long shots like in camera most of the time. I feel like that's why it has the R rating. I feel like low-key they could have made it PG-13. Just change like, 10 shots at most, I think. Definitely something to know before going in, I would say, if that's something you're, not wanting to see.
Yeah, it's the reality of the world we live in. This movie, Francis Lawrence, the director, the reason we're talking about it in conjunction with Catching Fire, he has found his niche of these kind of post-apocalyptic dystopian worlds that are fascistic societies preying on young people, putting them in these extreme circumstances to prove themselves and win glory for themselves and their family. There's so much, it's all about the state, right? They keep mentioning the state. And I think that, really rings true to the way we see crackdowns, more and more in what's happening in our government and in our media and our television.
No, absolutely. And I think it is an important time to kind of have stories about this, showing this side of things, especially in this day and age. But it is super timely, like you said. I did like kind of just like its world building aspects as well. Because going into it, I didn't know anything really about the story, and I figured it was kind of just like a TV competition. But the deeper you get in, kind of the deeper you get in the movie, the more you realize kind of the overall corruption of the society. This is really, really a dystopian kind of place, and in the near future after another kind of civil war, it seems like. So I thought all of that stuff was really good. You throw in Mark Hamill. I definitely wouldn't talk about him, but I think he's a little bit of a cheesy, over the top villain, but he does add, the hatred kind of, in that antagonistic role. So I don't know if he is the best casting, but do you think he was good?
He is an old man as well, and I feel like physically he just doesn't quite have the on-screen presence anymore, or maybe ever. Like, Mark Hamill does have an amazing voice, and like there's a reason he's continued to, been so great as the Joker in animation. The dialogue, the monologue scenes, the speeches, like that's the reason he's cast in this film. I do agree when you just like see him stand, it's like two kids in a trench coat. Like he's not like a man standing there. It's kind of scary. I love Star Wars and I love Mark Hamill, and he's not the greatest actor in the world.
I think, like you said, he's in this movie because of his voice, not because of his acting. His voice is great in this role, but I think his acting is not. But I mean, luckily for him, like he's not the focus at all either.
Right. He pops up a little bit.
Yeah, he's fun to have. He kind of does bring, that comic relief when you need it. So I feel like the majority of this movie is super emotional, a little bit depressing. But it is just carried on the back of kind of a few actors. And Cooper Hoffman's awesome. Obviously, he hasn't been in a ton yet. Licorice Pizza, which I still don't like that title, if I'm being honest. But he's pretty good in that, to be fair. And then David Johnson as well, who we talked about, in the past in Alien Romulus. He was really good in that. I think he was even maybe better in this. So those two I specifically was really impressed by as well.
Yeah, this movie as a whole, the cast is kind of this who's who of younger, male actors, up and coming guys. The Jojo Rabbit kid is there. The next Karate Kid is there. And of course, like you said, Hoffman and Johnson, like everyone, love or hate this movie, or, this movie hasn't even been a huge hit at the box office and made about $26 million. It's been, decent, smaller budget movie, but like the big standout is those two and that dynamic. And I think people have identified as like, these are two people in Hollywood that we want to see be successful. We want to see what they're doing next. And we also would really love to see them like continue to stay together as a pair. And they've talked about like how great of a time they had filming this movie. Of course, they did a ton of like real walking. It was kind of a little bit of a grueling experience, I think, and they definitely bonded. I'm excited to see the two of them, be whatever, Hoffman and Redford.
True. They're up next. But yeah, I honestly too, I think for both of them, I'm leaning more Johnson maybe, but I think they
Me
do
as
like
well.
they have Oscar potential for sure. I think coming up, just like because they both really bursted on the scene. I feel like not been in a ton, but everything that they are in, they're kind of really, really good. So cool to see. I thought it was fun as well. Cooper Hoffman, just the character he can relate to a little bit in this one, where talking about kind of his dad, and obviously we'll talk more about Philip Seymour with Catching Fire, but I thought that was a nice meta-ness as well. That it gave his character more warmth and something he can obviously pull out from real life pretty easily.
Obviously, we've done a whole episode on nepotism, and we've talked nepo babies before, but
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned him in that one, did we? He was probably too soon.
I don't think so. Neither of us have really taken a bite of the licorice pizza, let's say. So at one battle after another out this week, so maybe I got to finish my PTA rewatch. But there is a reason that the children of stars, these movie stars, these beautiful people, these people that have presence, also we like to see them on screen because it reminds us of who their parents were. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, an incredible actor. If Cooper Hoffman's even like half the actor that he is capable of being, like, yeah, this guy should be in more movies.
Yeah. I mean, Philip is like elite levels, I feel like, talking about acting levels. So, hey, we'll give the kid a chance. He's doing well so far, but I don't think he'll get to Philip's levels if I'm a guessing man.
Big year for Stephen King. The Life of Chuck officially released this year. And won the People's Prize at TIFF. Kind of a nothing. It came and went movie, but we got The Long Walk, and then also The Running Man, another Stephen King game show, death-defying movie coming out. Are you hyped for that one?
I'm actually pretty excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Edgar Wright at the helm.
Right.
Big fan of his, so that's kind of the driving force. And Glenn Powell, I've been coming around on him after Twisters, so seems like a
The
fun
whole
duo.
I'm a little questionable about the Chad Powers Hulu television show, but
I'm still on
otherwise,
board. I think that's right up my alley. I think just dumb comedy wise, and I would love to see kind of him to stay in that genre a bit more instead of what he's been typecasted. So, Glenn, do it all, man. You deserve it, but stop doing rom coms.
him and Sydney Sweeney, I think maybe that'll finally be over. She's had a rough couple months, and honestly, deservedly so.
I don't know. I if I'm a betting man, I'd say they're at least making 3 more movies together, at
Yeah,
least.
sponsored by American Eagle. Obviously, in comparison with Catching Fire and Hunger Games, like, it doesn't really focus on the media aspect, but it is a game show. Like, there are people who are allegedly watching this and are fans of this, and it makes me think a lot about like the way things are used as distractions in real life. Like, even the recent events, like the way they're being portrayed in the media, like a lot of it is more distraction than anything, distractions from like the things that you should actually care about. And I'm not like some crazy conspiracy theory, but it's stuff like the Epstein files or like the genocide that's happening in Gaza. Like, these are the real issues that are happening. And then when we get like down to these media circus, these funerals disguised as rallies, like these things that you just really shouldn't even care about because there's more important things that are happening. And The Long Walk is an example of that. Hunger Games Catching Fires it's these media state-sponsored events that are there to kind of quell the masses, make you feel better, feed you a lie. And I do think that is like very real and in happening before our eyes right now.
Yeah, and key to creating dystopian futures. So I think we're in for a ride.
Plugged
But
into the Matrix, right, Cody?
oh man, I wish. But yeah, I think you couldn't have said it better, honestly. Just like kind of the craziness that's going on in the world. I feel like I'm also in the world of The Boys at the same time, which is just craziness. Like, I mean, when the other dimensions watch our alternate future, they're like, oh wow, this one's really messed up. Like you said, both movies I do think do a good job though of kind of showing that corruption and kind of that power. And like you said, I mean, the media 100%, especially in Hunger Games, is like a massive factor in that movie on, trying to, stop people from gaining freedom. So it is very interesting to see kind of how quickly that can change in a world like this. And yeah, these worlds aren't too far from ours. It feels like every day.
There's a reason I think this movie's hitting for a lot of people. I think if it was released like a couple years ago, the general reception and like people would be like, it's kind of whatever. Like, because this movie's okay. And I think it's the same reason we've seen the Hunger Games have a resurgence with these two new books. It's not even that it's like, and we did an episode on the prior Hunger Games, and I talked a little shit about it, where it's like, I don't even think these are like incredible allegories for what could happen or what is happening in the world. And yet, because of how fucked up things are getting, people are drawn back to it. And we're getting another Hunger Games next year. So excited to talk about this one for sure. Let's get into things. Hello and welcome back to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast. It's KHAP. I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and I'm joined by my co-host, Cody Webb. Cody, what's going on, man?
We back. It's pod season.
Excited to continue talking about Catching Fire and all the implications it has. Francis Lawrence, interesting guy. Did you get a chance to check out Constantine?
I did not yet, actually. It's on my Carpentober, so we'll get there shortly. But
that is the other thing I wanted to mention at the top of this. Of course, Carpentober. We did Cagetober last year. We discussed it. We've brought it back this year as Carpentober. How's that going for you so far? What do you think of it?
It's going pretty well so far. I'm only a few movies in, so I got to pick up the pace a little bit. But checked out a couple ones that I hadn't seen before with They Live and Evil Dead. The first one was Sam Raimi. Really enjoyed both of those, honestly. Gave them both 4 stars. Evil Dead is just so gross. One of the most disgusting movies I've ever seen. But man, Raimi, I mean, he can really put together a shot. So might have to go rewatch some of the scenes in Multiverse of Madness because I really gave him shit for that. But I mean, that movie just like oozing style, I feel like, which I really loved. And then They Live, which is, one of your recs for a while. I thought that was really fun. Roddy Piper, didn't really think he was a starring man, but I'll tell you what, man, there were some other like goofy movies that he was in, where he's battling frogs or something, and I'm probably gonna go back and watch all of them because I thought he was really fun in this. So going well. How's it going for you so far?
Well, I came to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum, Cody. So
That might be the best movie line of all time, if I'm being honest, or at least my favorite.
One of the best movie lines of all time. That movie has, I think, one of the greatest fights in all of movie history.
Probably the longest fight for sure.
Hey, if that means best, then it's definitely the winner. That movie's just so insane. And another great one about waking up to the realities of the world.
Yeah, still very, very relevant.
Put your glasses on. See what's going on. I am enjoying Carpentober. Haven't dove super deep as well either. But American Werewolf in London was a fun romp, kind of comedy. The tone was a little bit, I couldn't quite catch the wave fully, but one that when you're talking about like disgusting and incredible practical effects, like very similar to Evil Dead, it's not just the wolf stuff, which the wolf stuff is really great. The transformation's incredible, but like there's some like decaying body stuff, some like nightmarish imagery that pops up that's really enjoyable. I saw Coraline, which is another one, just like technical marvel, entirely stop motion. Crazy stuff. Did you watch that as a kid?
I did not, no, but I think both of those are on my Carpentober list, so I will be checking them out. But I always like stop motion stuff like that, like Nightmare Before Christmas. I think just like the behind the scenes of how they make that stuff too is almost as interesting as the movie. So we need more of that form, I think, for sure.
Henry Selick, the GOAT. Say his name, not Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Remember who directed those movies? That and Coraline. But of course, we are talking Catching Fire today, and the reason I mentioned Carpentober is because Constantine is the most recent watch, which is on my Carpentober list and yours as well. And that's the directorial debut of our man Francis Lawrence, not Jennifer Lawrence, Francis Lawrence. They're not related. Who would then go on to direct I Am Legend, Water for Elephants, and then was tapped to take on the second film in the Hunger Games franchise, Catching Fire. Where did you come to this movie, Kody? When did you watch it? I know you've mentioned it so many times on the pod as being like a favorite for you, but were you there in the theaters opening
I
night?
was
Were you
shockingly.
a reader of these books?
I wasn't there at midnight, and I definitely did not read the books either. But
I didn't think so, but I had to ask,
but I was in the theaters to see this one, and so yeah, I saw the first one. I like streamed it, I think, with my dad through like Amazon Prime, a year before. And I thought it was okay. Honestly, I didn't really like it a ton back then. I rewatched it before rewatching Catching Fire as well, and again, I didn't really love it. Just a lot of things, mostly this shaky cam that's really bad. But it did get me hype for Catching Fire, which I saw in theaters. Honestly, it's probably one of my earlier theater experiences that I kind of remember vividly. But I feel like that and Guardians, but I feel like Guardians was like 2016 or something. So this one was actually pretty early.
2014, right? I think Guardians
Okay.
comes out. So they're back-to-back years. Yeah,
Yeah.
2014.
Because honestly, like at this point, I wasn't going to see a ton of movies in theaters that like weren't, big comic book movies. That wasn't really kind of something that interested me yet. But I don't know. Like this was kind of a big deal. I feel like at the time for our generation, our age group. So I did catch it in theaters, and I had a great experience.
Yeah, this movie came out November 2013. I think Guardians is like
It was the
May
next
of
summer.
2014. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that lines
definitely.
up.
And I feel like I kind of have a similar memory of, and of course we've done Guardians, but I remember going to see Guardians in theaters, and I remember going to see this movie in theaters as well. I did read the books, and I was trying to see, like, do the research if this was like the first YA adaptation that like I got to actually experience, where I read all the books and then they came out. And it was the ones that were completed, because Harry Potter, I read all of the books when I was young. Basically, I saw the sixth and seventh movie after having read the books. Like the first five movies had already come out, just timing wise. And then Percy Jackson comes out before this, but of course they never finished that. So I had read those books, but this was really the first one in 2012, 2013. Like I was there for these movies. I was a fan of the series. I have not read them since like 2009, 2010. So I'm not going to come in as the book expert, but I agree. This was a huge moment culturally. This was the highest grossing film domestically. It broke like Thanksgiving box office records at the time.
It was a massive deal at the time, and like you were saying, I mean, out of those YA adaptations, I feel like this franchise is kind of the only one to do it well. I mean, other than Harry Potter, obviously, which is massive, massive exception. But that was kind of before this massive YA genre boost, which I feel like Hunger Games was definitely a driving force in. And it, probably didn't help in spawning a lot of other YA garbage that we ended up getting. But at the time, I mean, highest grossing movie of the year, I feel like is crazy for kind of this genre. And it kind of made Hollywood realize that, if we market movies to this age group, like they will come in storms and come see this. So I think that is really cool. And yeah, they had Francis at the helm, which I guess his kind of like his style is dystopian, or that's kind of the genre, that he really leans into.
Yeah, I mean, Constantine, a movie that is set in the real world, like in present times, but is about hell, right? It's
Right.
about how like hell is coming for us. And then of course, like I Am Legend is a movie that again is post-apocalyptic, and there's a lot of similarities in like the CGI. Like it makes sense that like he gets hired for this. Gary Ross directs the first movie. This is a similar thing that happens in Harry Potter. We haven't mentioned Twilight, which is another one that comes before this.
True.
The teaser for this was attached to Breaking Dawn Part 2, I think. So like, this is coming on the heels of that.
It was piggybacking Twilight for sure.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
It's a case of, I mean, of course, like female driven franchises, proof that like Hollywood should be making things that for women to go to the theater and see as well. This and Twilight is a good example of that. But with Harry Potter and Twilight, it's a case of they switch directors for a lot of these movies, like every new one, because it's like the post-production process kind of has to be happening while the pre-production for the next one is happening. That happens in Harry Potter, where they switch for the first couple and then a same guy takes over for the last, 5, 6, 7. or maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. David Yates comes in. Twilight, they have a different director every single one. This one, again, it's a different director for the first, but then Francis takes over and he finds his groove. And now he's even back doing the prequels with Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, and he's directing the new one next year with Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yeah, it is. I do find it very strange, kind of his relationship with this franchise. But hey, make one good one. I mean, you're there for life, man.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
made
it's
a
like
banger.
he almost becomes the showrunner. Like he's
Yeah.
he is the Kevin Feige of the Hunger Games world in a certain sense. Like him and Suzanne Collins have a relationship as well, it seems.
Yeah, I would think that's the major key. Is I think Suzanne Collins probably really likes Francis, especially after kind of their introduction with this movie, like you said, being the highest grossing movie of the year and being really good. So it's hard to kind of argue with bringing him back so many times, but also let him do something different for once. But also I'm excited for the next Hunger Games movie. It's like
Well,
the
he
Haymitch
got to do the
prequel.
long walk. That was his stab at
Yeah,
doing something a
true,
little different.
true.
And the Red Sparrow. You ever see that?
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
That was a little bit like, I think he kind of got put in director's jail after that, where they were like,
That's
okay,
fair.
maybe you only can make Hunger Games movies.
Stick to what you're good at. Yeah. Let's not do Red Sparrow.
And this movie, definitely successful. We've mentioned it, like, again, highest grossing film of the year. It's the 5th highest overall in terms of internationally. Do you know the other movies? Can you guess?
Ooh, this is what, 2012? Is that what we just said?
2013.
2013? Oh, goodness. So what was before Guardians for Marvel? Was it the Age of Ultron Force Awakens year? No. Um 2013. I'm bad with years. But I can't remember if that was before or after Guardians.
All-time favorite of yours.
That was 2015 or 16, I think, actually. So what would have been before?
Well,
Maybe
we've got it. I'll give you hints here, Cody.
maybe a Harry Potter
You're
movie?
floundering, and I don't want you to I don't want you to completely freeze up here, Cody. If you know what I'm saying, freeze up. Let it go. It's gonna be all right.
Frozen. I mean, that's not that good, man.
Frozen was the highest grossing worldwide, and then number
Makes
2
sense.
is an MCU film, one you just love, and
KHAP Kody.
it's a Christmas film.
Oh, you're being sarcastic. Iron Man 3. Yeah, Iron Man 3 summer was big.
And then of course the Gentle Minions would be a big fan of the third film.
I mean, I should have just guessed a Despicable Me movie.
But which one?
2?
Yes, Despicable Me 2.
Best one.
Don't steal the moon. Or was that the first one? I don't know.
That was the first one.
And then another adaptation, but kind of a funky one, a movie I've never seen. I think Benedict Cumberbatch potentially.
Yeah, I was gonna say Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah, Smaug is there. And then number 5 is Hunger Games. 6, Fast and Furious 6.
Ooh, I forgot
Well
about that
placed at
franchise,
6. Monsters University at 7.
Nice.
Gravity at 8. That movie
It's kind of a mid-year for movies, or at least blockbusters.
It's not I mean, it gets worse. Thor: The Dark World, Man of
Oh.
Steel, The Croods, World War Z, Oz the Great and Powerful. Speaking of Sam Raimi,
Shout out.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh man,
The Wolverine. Like, yeah, some real second-rate franchise films in this year. I guess people were ready for something like Catching Fire to come out, it seems.
I mean, I was. Yeah, I saw a lot of movies in theaters this year, actually. Iron Man 3, saw it, didn't like it. Star Trek Into Darkness, absolutely terrible. But Hunger Games at the end of the year came in. So I think that's why I didn't remember the year that well, because I was trying to clear my memory from all those crap movies that came out. But
we did have
Dark
The Conjuring and Now You See Me. So there was some.
True. Now You See Me's a banger.
The hype was real, though. Like you said, Breaking Dawn, we talked about Jennifer Lawrence. I think this is a very interesting point in her career, because do you know what happens, just the next March after they film this and before this movie comes out?
Well, I believe she wins an Oscar,
She
right?
wins an Oscar. So it's a very interesting. So she's filming this. Silver Linings Playbook basically comes out while she's filming this. Then she goes, wins the Oscar, and then this movie. Like, this is that weird period of, like, she's not an Oscar winner yet, but when this releases, she will be. She films Days of Future Past, I think, basically during the time when she then wins the Oscar. But she's a huge fucking star. her career now is in an interesting place. Did you ever watch No Hard Feelings?
I have seen it, yeah. I thought she was good in it, but she's just not working as consistently anymore, I don't think. But I mean, this was prime J-Law, 100%. And it's crazy that this franchise kind
I mean,
of
she's like
got her,
22, 23 years old as well.
yeah,
Like it's incredible
got
that
her
she's
in her peak. She's literally, I mean, she won an Oscar this same year in a sense, as kind of this movie came out. So insanity that kind of lined up perfectly. But yeah, I'll always be excited to see her and stuff. Like I was saying, just I think she's taking a lot more time in between projects, which is very fair since she's been in a bunch of franchises anyways. But yeah, hopefully she just starts doing a lot more like super dramatic stuff because I think that'd be a fun kind of turn and heck, go for another Oscar. Might as well.
yeah. As long as she stays away from David O. Russell, I'm excited to see what
Yeah,
she
she did pair up with him, maybe a few too many times, but she needs to find a new kind of go-to director.
Speaking of Twilight, her and Rob Pattinson have a movie coming out this year where things get pretty kinky, from what I've heard.
I'll be seated. Say less.
Die My Love, Lynn Ramsey, psychosexual drama, just them. Lakeith Stanfield's there, I guess, as well. um, produced by Martin.
He's just
Scorsese.
there watching. Or...
Listen, I haven't seen the film. I don't know what happens. There was a lot of stuff of them like filming out in the woods.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm still on board.
They struggle with feelings of isolation and psychological distress.
I mean, it sounds kind of intense, and yeah, if it's a little sexy as well, it's good matching, good pairing.
Her and Rob Pat, they've been circling each other since the Twilight days.
I mean, it's a dope cast too. I mean,
they're definitely better than Josh Hutcherson or Liam Hemsworth. I that's where I struggle with this film, really. I don't love either of them as leading men or by like their relationships.
No, I agree. I mean, they're just neither one of them is great actors, if we're being completely honest. And I feel like I don't know. I never can buy Josh Hutcherson's acting specifically as well, and all the stuff that I've really seen him in. So I think maybe that's just a personal thing for me, but like especially in the first Hunger Games movie too, it's really not even established either relationship. If I'm being completely honest, you have like one scene of Gale and Katniss just sitting out and being like, we could run away right now, and that was it. I mean, obviously they're friends and stuff, but then with Peeta, she never even talked to Guy before the games, and then she basically just had this relationship so they could both stay alive at the end. So there's no real development in the first one, and then starting off with the second one, they kind of just throw both of them in as like serious love interests. So I think it's at least more entertaining. But like you said, I mean, with that duo of cast, they didn't get the right Hemsworth, I don't think, clearly. Because I mean, all he's done is been in, Independence Day Resurgence, which is pretty good. But yeah, so I would say those two, and just the love, interest triangle in general is my least favorite part of this.
Yeah, I think Peeta's as a character is a real manipulative son of a bitch in this movie. He's doing a lot of crazy stuff. The pregnancy announcement,
that is tough.
Sneaking the photos of her family into the arena. Like this guy's, he's a little crazy. I mean, and we see that in the first movie as well. I do agree with you. We do get the wrong Hemsworth. This press tour gives us the iconic moment of Woody Harrelson realizing that they are related, that they are brothers.
Got a brother called Chris.
That's right. He has a movie coming out this weekend.
He's got a movie coming out. Yeah.
Where he plays a very dangerous man.
God of Thunder.
Some of that as well. Yeah.
Chris, if you can sleep for me.
Yeah, Chris Van Vliet, CBS Cleveland.
Just now. And you do have the same last name now that I think about it.
Yeah, they're brothers. Can you believe that?
I honestly never put that together.
Congrats to both of you guys on the film.
Congrats to both the brothers.
Yeah,
man.
no, congrats.
Jesus Christ.
Liam and Chris. Like,
Just got that
cheers
now.
to them.
We never talked about it.
Oh my God.
Never even occurred to me.
They kind of look similar. You see that?
Oh, that's
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
now that he mentions it, I totally get it. I totally get
Never
it.
cease to surprise me. You.
Hold on.
Hey, man, I mean,
Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth
you
are
know, they
brothers.
got the same
Liam's
last name. Of course, I should have thought of it.
In the second movie of the franchise.
Second movie of the press tour of the second movie of the
Right.
franchise. So they have filmed 2 films. They're probably about to film the third one, parts 3 and 4. I guess I don't really know how much. Yeah, they're both in it, I think.
They don't have scenes together really. And
No, but
I
they're
doubt
doing
Chris
press
was coming to
together.
set.
They're both
True.
District 12ers. But yeah, it's a funny clip. I'll probably throw that in here. But I think it is tough. They're book adaptations, so much interiority. It's about her, feelings between the two. I think you see the ways that like Peeta's the ultimate good guy. Like that's kind of the role he plays, where he shows up to Woody Harrelson's place, Haymitch's place, way before her to beg for her life. He makes these deals, all that stuff. It's compounding to why like he's the answer and the one that makes sense. And obviously it's like that societal pressure thing as well. Like she doesn't really have a choice. She kind of has to fall in love with this guy if she, wants her family to live. Because literally, President Snow is showing up at her door and saying that.
Yeah. I think another really cool thing that makes this a good sequel is like in the first Hunger Games movie at the end, you kind of assume like, oh, it's a happy ending. Like that was the promise. If you win the Hunger Games, you're spoiled with the riches. But it's almost like shit got worse after the Hunger Games for these people. Like now they have to pretend to kind of keep this relationship, when they're public. But I mean, clearly that's not kind of what ideally they would want to do. And then of course the quarter quell comes around and really messes everything up. But I do think it's a great sequel because it builds on the first. It makes it more interesting even on a rewatch, but it also ups the stakes, massively. And again, even going into the rest of the cast too, like this cast is freaking deep, man. You have Philip Seymour Hoffman, who again, he's not even in the movie for that much, but he is in, a scene early on, one-on-one with J-Law, which I think that's just like great direction of finding the 2 best actors in the movie. And even if, Philip Seymour Hoffman's not in it that much, like get him in early and have it be like just a fun, intense conversation, with your lead. So I thought that was great direction. And then this was definitely my introduction to Jeffrey Wright as well, who I wanted to shout out. He's just having so much fun too, playing this Victor, whose specialty is like electricity and just really smart and cerebral. I think he's really awesome. And his career as well has been fun to watch kind of as a launching point for myself from this film. But I mean, we can even go deeper, but I mean, this cast up and down, I think it's pretty solid.
Touch of the Tooch, Cody. They give us a touch of the Tooch.
Dude, I'll tell you what, that's one of my favorite characters as well. Caesar Flickerman, his theme song. You got it for the intro for this. You gotta blast his theme song. It might be one of the best songs ever created, if I'm being completely honest.
Definitely has had a second life on TikTok for sure. It's remained prevalent. Mina loves Tucci. I've come to love a touch of the Tooch as well. Always great to see him. I think his show looks a little cheap, a little chintzy. I gotta hate on there's some rough green screen there, but I'll tell you what, it's cool to see crowds in this movie. Like there's scenes where there's actually just like tons of people, like real production value. He's great. Donald Sutherland, another one, we've talked about Snow a little bit, but like another rest in peace recently passed away. Somewhat recently, the time, I can't keep
within the last year. I think, yeah.
But it's just such a menacing presence in this film. Truly terrifying and it's the same thing where it's like, get him in the room with Jennifer Lawrence early, have them have a scene together, just really be frightening. And I know they've kind of added stuff for him in the first movie as well, and it's great just to see him in this. Lenny Kravitz, fun addition.
Yes, I love Lenny. I think
not a guy who acts a ton, but like cool to see him do this.
And he has a lot to do in this one. And again, kind of bouncing off what I was saying earlier, but both of those characters are massively improved from the first movie. I feel like Snow is just there, reading names and saying congrats, you won and stuff at the first. Like you said, immediately 5 minutes in, he makes it personal. He threatens Katniss's family. He's a great antagonist, I think. And that was something the first one didn't have at all, I don't think. And then same with Lenny Kravitz. I mean, he was really calming factor in the first. But I mean, that scene where, your background too is cool, where, of course, it's the Mockingjay reveal.
The costuming across all these movies, obviously, it's something so pivotal, but I think they do pull it off.
It's iconic too, I think. Just J-Law's look in general, Finnick, I think his look, at that opening ceremony is iconic too. So shout out to that. And I mean, Lenny Kravitz, yeah, that emotional beat of kind of him getting taken down right before the games as well. It really does catch you, I feel like, and it does just keep on raising the stakes and, always keeps you guessing throughout, which I think makes a really good movie.
I do agree with that. Like, I think everybody's cast so well, and this movie, you mentioned how the first one ends and it is kind of a happy ending. This one does raise the stakes, and it shows that everything is worse off. It's an interesting case of, this is a middle movie. It's the middle book in a trilogy, but of course, then they go and split the next one into two parts. How do
Wait,
you
is
think?
Mockingjay's only one book? What?
Yeah, that's crazy,
That's
right?
crazy.
I can't believe that they would ever do it. They probably didn't do that to like make money, or
No, surely not.
um, they really didn't need to split. It's a tough one because like it's a thick book, but that first movie is pretty boring, and they kind of, I don't even think I saw the second one in theaters, honestly. They lost me. But this is the middle, right? So it has to raise the stakes, but then also at the end of it, like really set things up to wrap up. And I think this one struggles a little bit because like the ending is very much a like, oh well, we lost PETA and the games didn't end and I've escaped, but like it's not really a real ending, like
Oh, I agree. I think it's a complete cop out of an ending,
it's the
really.
Spider-Verse thing. It's like, hey, you got to
Yeah,
go see the next movie in a year, and at
right.
least they did give it to the people in a year.
I
Well, they gave
think
them half a movie in a year.
right. And it's kind of similar to me with the Spider-Verse of, I overlooked that just because like it was a really good twist of, her breaking open the games literally, through electricity in the dome. Because that moment is obviously really awesome. And then the claw shot, just iconic as well. I love that shot.
The
But yeah,
claw.
I mean, also too, they don't really plant that many seeds of kind of, this revolution talk with Philip Seymour Hoffman, with Haymitch, Gale a little bit more, obviously, just because he's on the ground and trying to make stuff happen. But I think just that twist is very unexpected. And I mean, seeing Philip Seymour Hoffman in that room is also just hype because I feel like after the first one with the Firebeard guy, you just expect every game maker to kind of be the same of, not just live up to the hype that Snow wants and killing J-Law, but they really do turn it on its head, obviously, and have him kind of in on it, which is really cool. But yeah, just from a writing perspective, definitely not kind of the best way, I don't think, to end the movie. The one cool thing I think they do, with the kind of closing shot, it is like the opening closing is kind of like the same shot, which I really, really love, obviously, if you've listened to any of our episodes. But this one's pretty basic. It's just, J Law opening her eyes in a sense or closing them. But I think at least they did something artistic with it, even though it's not the strongest plot wise.
Something that I do appreciate about this as a series, and it goes back to the thing you were saying about like how they don't really plant the seeds of Plutarch or
Great
uh,
name. Luthar.
Plutarch, or Haymitch, like having interactions or being like real revolutionaries, is that it is very much POV of Jennifer Lawrence,
Yeah.
of Katniss Everdeen, and she isn't a revolutionary. She is just this girl who has become a greater symbol for things. And of course, it's not that she doesn't stand up to the Capitol, or she doesn't have issues with the Capitol, but like her goals are not to take down everything. Like she's just trying to survive. And that's like, she's the scared girl who's trying to survive and fight, and do everything she can. And that is really like her goal throughout. And, at a certain point that becomes, trying to save her sister and trying to save her family and trying to save PETA. Those are all her goals. But like, it's never revolution, right? Like and even in the next movie, we begin to see that of her kind of having to take on that role and become the symbol, that she isn't. But I like that it keeps us locked into just her as, less she's serving a greater purpose, but she doesn't even realize fully.
Yeah.
It's kind of the Dune thing a little bit. It's that it's becoming a figure that you aren't actually.
I agree. And I think that makes a really interesting protagonist, in that situation as well. Of, like you said, her motives are pretty clear. I mean, she's just trying to survive. Feels like her whole life is a Hunger Games in a sense, and she just has to try to make it to the next day each time. But yeah, I mean, with Snow, threatening her family, and then kind of even when they're doing their victor speeches, the first one at Rue's place,
Incredible
obviously.
scene.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And then even the next one where they are reading the cards and like there's just mobs like screaming at them, being like, say what you really feel. Just because this revolution, people are pissed off and rightfully so. They've been going through this crap for a long time. And with her win, it really does symbolize like even if you come from nothing of that lower district, it doesn't matter. Like you deserve it as much as somebody from, one or two. So I think that's it's just something done really well. And then, of course, making her, this symbol that she doesn't want to be is something that's talked about more in the next movie for sure. But I think just her role as the protagonist, but also being like, I don't really even care about this stuff, while everyone else around her is kind of pushing that direction. I think is really interesting and well written. Like you said, it is her centric, but I think the other characters, are almost more of the standouts in this one specifically.
I agree. And I mean, going back to Philip Seymour Hoffman, like the thing that is always I find interesting about him as a performer is like there's always something else going on. Like there's always something under the surface. You're like, this guy's a little fucked up. This guy's a little weird. He's got some ulterior motives, whether he is like a real villain in like Mission Impossible 3 or like in Talented Mr. Ripley, where he's not necessarily a villain, but he's got, he's got his own motivations, in the story that he's trying to live. And in this one, there's something else there. You can feel it, but it's actually that, oh, this guy's actually a good guy, which I think is a fun play. I mean, of course, he passes away. Part 1 and 2 are his final film performances, really. So it is interesting to see that like a guy who, was a character actor for so many years, was used for PTA to a certain extent in a lot of performances, kind of took on these late in his career franchise films. Like there's something he saw in Hunger Games that was challenging him, or the material meant something. And I do think that's interesting.
It is crazy, honestly, that he would, sign up for something like this. But I think it does have to do a lot with the character and the writing of like you said, being somebody super interesting, and then having that twist of like I said, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I've seen him in, he's definitely good at being an asshole or being kind of like the guy in charge. But I think this is a really fun one where it's like, he's pretending to be an asshole and he's actually a really nice guy, which is maybe not something he did a ton. So I'm glad he was drawn to it. It is sad. I do wish he had, a few more movies on his slate after this, gone too soon. But it is a really fun thing that, these were his last performances for sure.
You mentioned the scene when they go to District 11. I think that's like a really tough one to watch, especially now. It's the same thing we're talking about. Peacekeepers, they do really elicit such a response. They've got obviously that like stormtrooper-esque kind of iconography. But yeah, just like these faceless, massless individuals and communities, beating the shit out. And, they fucking shoot that guy in the head. Again, talk about visceral nature. This one stays in the PG-13 realm of things, but
I mean, again, still very relevant, which is crazy today. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how this movie is PG-13 low key. I mean, right off the bat, that guy gets shot in the head about 15 minutes in. So pretty crazy there. And I feel like the first one too really does like that one could have been PG low key. There's really not a ton of violence with the shaky cam. And I think they did that on purpose so that you wouldn't catch the violence. But in this one, it is well shot, I think. And yeah, I mean, the bad guys come in and they are messing around early. It does have shades of kind of Star Wars too, like you're saying with the stormtroopers, and specifically like the one guy without a helmet.
it
Who's, like,
reminds me a lot of
bald.
Andor too, like in
Yeah,
recent, of
like
course, which is like
it reminds me of
the
like
more
Grand Moff Tarkin or like just
yeah.
a dick general and trying to kill Luke Skywalker. But so I like those vibes. And then I mean, just talking about the Hunger Games more specifically too, like I think this is just a really cool concept of being like, this is Hunger Game All Stars in a sense. I mean, like we were saying about Survivor, like I always prefer seasons that bring back my favorites who I already know. I mean, this is an extreme and terrible version of it, but I think it does make it a better Hunger Games because you have all of these experienced winners. You have some buff dudes. Alan Rickson, is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
What's it?
of course, the guy who
Richardson?
played one of the Ninja Turtles and is Reacher.
Yeah, I mean he's just some unnamed guy with no lines in this.
He's a
And like
career. He's a District Oneer.
yeah, and he's like
Classic
the
District One guy, though, right?
oh for sure he fits the mold perfectly. But there's like 10 other Victors that I like more interesting, and I know who that guy is. So I think it just adds to the depth of the characters and makes it a much better Hunger Games than the first one, which I think the first one, that's where I really do dislike it, is when the games come in and you got these demon dogs, you got, everybody dying from stupid stuff. In this one, there is a ton of bloodshed, just one-on-one kind of people, which I think is more interesting personally. Then they add the clock stuff, which is okay, but again, not kind of my favorite of the stuff in the games.
Do you know what they did for 25 and 50? Are you familiar with the canon of that?
Not really. No. No. What were the other quells?
So 25, they make the people in the districts vote on who would go. So like rather than it being
Mm,
a random draw, like your own, it's a vote, which is pretty fucked up.
yeah, pretty messed up. I'm sure somebody would campaign for it though, so it'd be okay.
Right, definitely, especially in some of those other ones. And then there's some people. I guess maybe
Right.
in districts it's campaigning against vote for this person, get them out of there. And then of course 50, which we will be seeing next year in Sunrise on the Reaping, is
Mm,
Hamish's games, and it
right.
actually did double of everyone. So it was
Oh.
uh
Oh wow. He won a double
48
version?
people.
Oh, shout out McKenna Grace. I'm excited for it. But well, okay, that's gonna be actually insane. Shout out Hamish, man. Jeez. Took out a lot of people. I understand why he's messed up now.
And obviously I think there's things in that are supposed to deepen the things that we see in these movies. Was there anything in now having seen that other prequel film, The Ballad of Songbirds, where we see a young Snow, that on this rewatch kind of piqued your interest, or does it feel like those things aren't that connected to you?
They do feel connected, but it's I felt like after watching Songbirds and Snakes, I would have made more connections throughout kind of, the first two Hunger Games movies of like, oh, like that's a direct reference from the past one or whatever. And I think it is just like that one song is kind of the only thing
Yeah,
that
and I mean,
carries
just really, just
over.
like she's the girl from District 12, and he's always had the
Yeah.
thing about the girl from District 12 with
And it's just
the
pure hatred, which I mean, you could buy anyways, just with like his political position and a possible revolution. But it does make it a little bit more personal for Snow, which I think Donald Sutherland does a good job with. But I don't know. Do you think Donald Sutherland even knew that story while kind of making these movies, or
I don't know if Suzanne Collins knew that story, obviously,
fair?
because that this is, it did take her like a decade to come around and rewrite it, and I'm sure there was thoughts and things swirling around, but
Still faster than George R. R. Martin, so we'll give her a
hey,
pass. But
100% better writer too. Fuck Game of Thrones.
no, that's cap.
Hey, go write another book. Oh, you won't.
Oh wait, he never will.
No, I'll love to those porno books, and anybody that enjoys them.
What a hater.
Something that we have not mentioned yet is that this is a big IMAX movie. And now, did you watch this on HBO Max?
I did, yes. I didn't have the aspect ratio
Yes.
change.
So unfortunately, the fucking streaming version, it no aspect ratio change.
Unbelievable.
But notably, when if you watch this in theaters, if you saw it in IMAX, if you have the Blu-ray copy of the film, when when Lenny Kravitz bites it and she rises up into the games, it goes full 1:3 aspect ratio, fills the screen, and is like for the entirety of the film beyond that point is in full IMAX ratio. They shot it on IMAX cameras. It's 48 minutes, which at the time was like pretty huge. Again, this comes out in 2013. You have like The Dark Knight, and you have a couple other films prior to this, but it kind of is a cool technical marvel. And now here we are 14 years later. I feel like IMAX has had this huge, like, everyone wants IMAX, their movies to be IMAX. You got the fucking Smashing Machine in IMAX, you got Weapons in IMAX, you got everything in IMAX.
I'm here for it, Lucky, but I agree. It was definitely a kind of a pioneer at the time, and I think the usage of it too was really well done. I mean, obviously in The Dark Knight, that opening scene I think is iconic, and that's one of the reasons it is for sure is the IMAX. But for this, I mean, it saves it for the good stuff. I feel like the start of the Hunger Games is always the most intense part of it, low key. And then of course having it like water location as well, I feel like is perfect for IMAX. Just makes you feel like you're in kind of the ocean and in the well with them, which is really, really cool. But yeah, I love the intensity of that scene specifically.
I am so excited to see the Odyssey, but I do think the idea of like, oh, the entire movie is just going to be shot in IMAX, I think that almost detracts from it. Like having the aspect ratio change for a reason, I think is powerful. Like in Dune, the times when the screen opens up, in The Dark Knight, those moments in the opening, in the truck flip chase, like there's, and obviously a lot of that is like the limitations of the technology paired with what he could do versus dialogue. Like, but I think there's like 20, when it's 28 minutes, when it's 48 minutes, when it's parts of a movie, there's something more powerful about it. And I'm curious to see, when it comes to the Odyssey, when it's just like, oh, the whole thing's in IMAX, will it have that same power to it? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that's just the trend that's going to happen? Is like eventually everything is just going to be in IMAX for the entire movie, or do you
Well,
think they won't do that?
I don't think realistically, like Christopher Nolan can do it because he has the blankest check possible. Like there's nobody in
deservedly
Hollywood
so,
who
yeah.
can get more money for a movie right now. But there's a clear realization from studios to filmmakers that we are in an age of the format of movie is presented in matters, and that can be marketed, whether it's this was shot on VistaVision and is being shown in for the first time in 60 years in VistaVision for One Battle After the Other, or this is shot on IMAX and premiering in IMAX 70 millimeter, or this is the Smashing Machine, which we shot on VHS and 16 millimeter and 35 and 65 millimeter, and we're project like there is a culture around it, and to me, like as someone who has fallen prey to some of that marketing myself at times, like I like the idea of going to see a film on film, analog format. Like there is a little bit of consumerism and like like it is kind of like a gross marketing scheme that has less to do with the actual art of the thing and more to do with like, hey, can't we just say this is the first movie shot entirely on IMAX? Or can't we like when I release I'm going to keep saying the Smashing Machine poster, the words IMAX are going to be the biggest thing on the poster. You're not even going to be able to see the title. Like it's an interesting world we live in. It's the same thing of like when the Criterion Closet van shows up and there's hours of lines of people. Like people care more about the commodity of it, the commodification. Like it's less about the art. It's a little bit sad.
I think it's true. Keep on shouting on the Smashing Machine as well, since it's on my fantasy team. You're doing a lot with the marketing for right now, I think.
Am I shouting it out or am I hating? I don't know. Are you gonna go see it in IMAX?
I mean, if the poster, if IMAX is 70% of the poster, I feel like I have to. But yeah, it is an interesting point of, like you said, it kind of feels like it's almost losing the entire point of it.
I mean, and IMAX is a brand. Like that's the thing at the end of the day. Like it is a company that makes cameras and projectors. So it's like
they want to expand, I would think.
Right. And they want people to say their name more. And we've just said it a bunch of times. But like it is a technology that when it's properly used, like in this film, like it does kind of take your breath away when she enters up into the arena. Like I pulled it up on YouTube and watched the expanding ratio. I think it is really cool.
Me too.
Yeah. It's Sinners. Like there's moments in Sinners where the screen expands to tell that story in a particular way. Shame on HBO Max. I guess maybe shame on Lionsgate for not getting us that digitally out there. We need that we need the version on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, people are missing out, I feel like, on their first watch, because that is such a cool moment, especially in theaters, I feel like. And I mean, just talking about, I think too, like, I don't know if there is a better setting for Hunger Games than like a water world kind of like this.
Kevin Costner just perked up somewhere. You said water world? What?
He's having PTSD, just like Katniss in this one. But yeah, I think it's a really fun arena. And then also too, like, I feel like Finnick, his specific weapon is like kind of the ideal Hunger Games weapon, and especially in water too. Like you can use it kind of to stab if you're in the water. You can use it as a sword. He throws it at the beginning. So I think like the weapons that they give them as well is very cool for the setting. But you can't beat water, I think, in Hunger Games standards.
Love a trident. Of course, there's the training montage scene where she's using her bow and arrow and she kills everybody, and like you see the guy with the trident and the guy with the, like she kills one of each of the tributes, which I think is a fun thing. I agree. I love the arena, the water setting. I think the clock is a cool thing. I know you were dissing on it a little bit. Do you
Yeah.
have a thing you are most afraid of? I think poison fog is pretty fucked up.
I think all of them are pretty bad.
Monkey's not great.
Yeah, my least favorite is the monkeys.
Good jump scare.
Story perspective. Why is it always these stupid killer animals they have in the Hunger Games? But yeah, I mean, there's also just like a fire and then a flash flood. In one of
The
them.
wave
as
is
well.
craze. The wave would be tough.
There's nothing you can do about most of these. So I'm not a fan of any of them, I don't think, really.
Yeah. The Mag's death and the poison fog is definitely pretty tough.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if I love that conclusion for her. I mean, I get the idea of, she's just going to sacrifice herself, but it seems like that fog was not moving that quick. I mean, they drug out PETA.
Well, and then they do get to
multiple times.
the end eventually, but yeah.
Well, true. But yeah, I think the obstacles, again, like, I think that's my least favorite part of the games. I would prefer more of like, characters having to make tough moral decisions and stuff versus getting killed by the arena, but then the games would be really long and they would never end. So I get why they do it. But and also the game maker, he's trying to get it to a point where his group is there before. Well, I don't know, I guess. What do you think like Plutarch's plan actually is? Because they don't tell Katniss to bust the thing open, right?
Well, I mean, I think, I guess you're assuming that like they were trying to do like that. What she does is what their plan was. Like, she's being told that they're doing the coil thing just to electrocute the careers, but really like they're trying to get the coil. Like, I think their plan is to break out the same way, to use, because
Gotcha.
nuts and bolts, or wireless and beats, like their whole thing, like I think he's trying to escape. He because he's in on it too, and they're all in on it except for her.
Well, that's the thing too. Obviously, she's oblivious, which I get why they did it. She's so close to the situation, and then Snow has access to her as well, so they're probably listening into a lot of her stuff. But at the same time, I mean, you need to tell her. But then too, I mean, throughout the movie, they keep like, or throughout the games, they keep hinting at like, oh, we're doing this all for you, Katniss. Like, Jenna Malone's character, I think, spills it accidentally. And it's like, my thought process almost is like, too, like they're willing to sacrifice their games for her and obviously their lives for her. So maybe my thought is like, if the plan doesn't work out, they're going to let her win anyways and then continue on, to the bigger
It's a
cause.
precarious plan, because there's definitely a lot of ways it could go wrong. If you're watching it with the idea of knowing that Philip Seymour Hoffman is on her side, like you kind of see like the ways he plays with President Snow, and even like some of the suggestions he's making, like he's trying to keep her alive the whole time, and you see him like watching in the games, like, oh shit, like this, is she gonna die here, or do I need to kind of like step in, or like when they spin the thing, like that's clearly like an attempt to kind of like have their own, to play his own hand and keep her alive in a certain
way. And
way.
Immediately when she falls off the platform too, that's when he stops it. All right, stop it. Yeah, I think it's a fun detail.
For sure. You shouted out PTSD. Obviously, Iron Man 3. This is a big year for PTSD. Big year for fire, catching fire, and right? Yeah.
What was the other fire?
Oh, that's Iron Man 2. When's the fire? No, in that is Iron Man 3.
He's got dragon tattoos.
Extremis.
Oh, Extremis. Yeah,
it's
breathing fire.
Extremis fire. And then there's robot arms in Iron Man to build a suit, and there's robot camera arms in this movie.
Wow.
These movies are the same. 2013, what a year for film.
Shout out Iron Man 3. But I do like the PTSD angle.
Jack Quaid.
Wilson, I love him, obviously. Nice, PTSD flashback of him.
How much of a check you think he got?
Probably a little something. Maybe a fifth of what he got for the first one. And he probably didn't get that much for the first one. But he's credited. I mean, his Letterboxd, I think his top 2 are those 2 movies. So he was in it.
He definitely didn't film anything.
No, 100% not. But I think the PTSD angle is actually fairly interesting. like the use of that. I think they could have even focused on it more, and I think they do in the next couple movies. But like, if you win the Hunger Games, like you are going to be messed up for life, really. And there was one Haymitch line that I really loved. It was in the Hunger Games, there are no winners, just survivors. Like I feel like that is just brutal.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, like you think it's a happy ending at the end, but shit does not get easier even if you win the Hunger Games. So it's really just like the worst lose-lose situation of all time. And I thought that, at least having that in the movie, dealing with PTSD was not something I expected from a YA genre film.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, you see her waking up from nightmares. You see her kind of having these visions. It is an interesting thing to explore for sure. And a lot of that like is just portrayed through like Jennifer Lawrence's face and like what she's able to kind of give off an emotion. That's why she's a successful actress for sure.
Fire and Catching Fire. I wanted to ask, I mean, this is a pretty decent title, I think, but does it really make sense kind of for this movie? Because in the first one, she's the girl on fire, and they light up the fire on the chariots, which again they do in this one, and then of course there's fire in the forest, and of course it's just a fun title with the revolution's catching fire, but I think it kind of doesn't make sense for this one to be named it specifically.
Yeah, I mean, could this be Mockingjay? And could the next one be Catching Fire? Could the first one have been? I hear what you're
100%.
saying. They could all just be called Hunger Games 2.
But I mean, the book was called that too, I guess. So.
I like these names better than like A Ballad of Songbird and Snakes and
yeah.
Sunrise on the Reaping. I think they're getting a little bit full of themselves on those titles.
A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is probably the worst title that we'll ever do on the podcast. So I can't think of a worse one, but I think it's okay. But I probably would have named it Hunger Games All Stars in a reference to Survivor, or Winners at War. I mean, that would be dope too.
I think that's yeah. They should do a blood versus water season.
True. That'd be great, man. President Snow needs to take notes from Probst, but yeah, I do love the all-star aspect of it, and I kind of wish that was more of the driving force of the title, personally.
I'm pretty sure Suzanne Collins has been quoted as saying Survivor was the inspiration for Hunger Games.
It had to have been.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what else is the inspiration? Yeah, shout out to her.
Or maybe also Big Brother. She's.
And you lost me, Suzanne. You just went straight down the barrel. Brutal.
Here's a article from swoon.com. I know you're a subscriber already. Did Boston Rob and Amber's epic Survivor romance inspire the Hunger Games?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Boston Rob, PETA, Amber, Katniss, or maybe the other way around. Maybe Amber's PETA, Boston Rob is Katniss.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're actually dead on with that comparison. But yeah, that is good inspiration. And they did win the season of Survivor All Stars, which
there is the shot of the Red Sox hat in the first movie in her house. I do remember that, so it makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, dang. All the connections, man. Boston Rob, you better get a paycheck for this. I mean, it's basically just based off his life story. So craziness.
Another line that I love, you mentioned one that I had written down, the no survivor, the no winners, only survivors thing. It's a fragile system if it could all be taken down by a couple of berries when Katniss is having interaction with President Snow, and then he's like, oh, it is a very fragile system. You have no idea how fragile it is. Like fascism systems like this, like there's a reason they don't last, and I guess that can be like consolation to us a little bit, but like they eat themselves alive, they fall apart, like they aren't meant, like it's not natural. People aren't really meant to be controlled like this or to live like this. People are always going to rise up in the face of total control like this in an interesting way. It is a very fragile system, and it's interesting because Snow recognizes that, and that's why I think he is like a cool villain of like he's someone who he isn't totally drunk with power. Like he sees how he has to control and has to maintain kind of like a reserved nature, and he can't be too much. And Philip Seymour Hoffman comes in and is like, increase the floggings, increase the executions, because in a twisted sort of way, he knows like if we get more of that, that's actually going to help my cause, which, he's a fucked up individual. It's stuff that we see happen in Andor as well, like Stellan Skarsgård character, where he's like, for the greater good of my revolution, like I'm going to kind of sow some dissent and within things. And it's also stuff you see in Andor where like the early adopters, characters die and characters are affected by this.
I think it's really well written and well acted, like you said with that. And another fun wrinkle I think with Snow's character is the inclusion. I think it's his daughter or his niece. Kind of being this big Katniss fan in a sense of like she's so
She's
young.
wearing the hair. She's got the
Yeah.
Katniss hairstyle, which hey, that happened. That happened in my school. I don't know about yours. But
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. But I think it's fun. Like he even has a representation of like how society is changing away from the system and becoming more rebellious just in their nature. But yeah, and then the Philip Seymour Hoffman stuff is really cool as well. Kind of, I think Snow thinks like he's playing chess against everyone else playing checkers, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's like the only one also playing chess with him, which I think is really cool. And especially on a rewatch, like you said, like all of their scenes and their conversations became even better because kind of the twist with Philip and the stuff that he's pushing on first watch. You're like, wow, this guy's kind of a dick. But on second watch, it really is. I think he has a really good understanding of the situation and kind of what is needed, for him to succeed in this position.
I think it is a bit of a long movie. Like it is 2 hours, 20 minutes. You've got a good 45 minutes until it gets to like, oh, hey, this movie is about another Hunger Games. Like, uh, and it's tough because it's fitting in a lot of stuff. It's a book adaptation. But I do think we take a little bit to get there. It's, hour 20 before we have the actual game starting. And then, there's a solid 50 minutes of games, which I like, but it's tough.
Well, it takes even a while to get to the reveal that they're going back to the games too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 45 minutes until they're like, hey,
Yeah.
you guys, you ever heard of the quarter quell? By the way.
And I think it is kind of just that they do really pack in the PETA and Gale stuff early on, maybe a bit more than was necessary. And I thought it was funny too. I feel like from the first movie to this one, like they physically do look a lot different as well, which is just weird from an actor perspective, especially when it was only a year apart. The other thing I wanted to say with PETA as well, like plot wise in this movie, he doesn't add a lot if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because I mean, early on in the games, I think all the stuff before the games is good, setting that up, I guess. But during the games, immediately he like chops a force field and has to be resuscitated. And then also he has to get carried out of the fog. Like he forces a sacrifice from Mags that we were talking about because he goes down first and Finnick has to carry him out. So I think he's not the most useful in these games, unfortunately. And then, the following movies as well, he's kind of just, a hanging plot point that becomes really, really annoying. So I think his character gets butchered a little bit. Obviously I haven't read the books, but I just wish kind of he was, more in Finnick's role in the games for this one, especially after the last one where he had to kind of get, saved in the cave as well. So just
Right.
similar
He's just
beats.
painting himself and laying on the ground.
Well, that's cool. I mean, at least he can paint. This one, he's not even painting. I mean,
He does some painting. He paints a picture of Rue, if you
True.
remember before the games.
Which that was kind of messed up. I'm guessing they told him to do that, but
Well, I think that was just his statement to them, of like, hey, fuck you guys. This little girl that died last time.
well, I guess so. But it really messed up Katniss.
That's
kind of in
tough
her
because
head.
she has to see it when
Yeah.
she walks in.
So
But they both get 12s. I don't think that's mentioned in the movie, but that's a book thing that they both get like the best score possible
Really?
for their training thing, which I think is more of them trying to like put a target on their backs. But his painting and her hanging.
yeah, Petey got a 12 for painting. Fair enough.
Well, and she got a 12
I mean,
for
She got an
hanging
11.
a dummy.
She got an 11 in the first one. So I
Okay.
mean, it makes sense that she's a 12. But PETA, come on, man, that's obvious. You're just pushing an agenda at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the nail on the head with that one. Jenna Malone, we haven't talked about her at all. Joanna
Yeah.
Mason. Nice little striptease in the elevator.
Yeah, that's an iconic scene for sure. And in the games again, she's not given a ton to do, but I mean, every time she's on screen,
Dies
I
quickly
feel like,
for sure.
yeah, which is unfortunate, but I think she's electric. I think she's a really good actress. And yeah, she just brings it. All of the side characters, like I said, with Jeffrey Wright and what's Amanda Plummer? I think that's her name from Pulp Fiction. She brings it, with kind of some craziness for her short screen time. So all of kind of the side, victors, I think bring their part and just add to the fun.
Yeah, Josh Hutcherson revealed at the Teen Choice Awards in 2012 that Jenna Malone was gonna be in the movie. It was his Tom Holland moment where he let that slip.
Oh
Nobody was
wow,
aware yet, so
big spoilers.
he was doing it before Tom. Don't
he
forget.
was he was doing it before it was cool with Spider Boy, but Josh, he should have been Spider Man, man. He'd been good casting.
I feel like there was probably a time when that could happen, but now he's just uh Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what Josh Hutcherson's up to.
Hey, he's in Rachel Sennett's new series coming out, so
I'm
get
excited about that.
get pumped.
They went to a
I'll-
Dodgers game. That's all I know.
yeah, I saw
It's
that
a lot
too.
of promotion. But yeah, we're Rachel Sennett fans for sure.
Oh, I'm a big stan.
Anything else to wrap this up? Jabberjay torture, not something I would really be interested in.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the hallucinations with that again is something, you probably could have just cut out that, clock point, and I would have been fine with it. But I mean, it's the same thing with the first one too, where you have, the stabby bees. So you had to bring back some stabby birds in this one. Just miss me with the animals, coming at you in the Hunger Games. I'm not a big fan of that.
This was shot primarily in Atlanta, which another one. This is a case of like that early MCU 2010s time period where like Atlanta was becoming the new Hollywood, where all these film productions were going there. That's now ending. It seems the Marvel world has basically just picked up and moved to fucking the UK for their tax credits, and Atlanta is kind of maybe being a little bit left in the dust. But this was definitely another one that has that feel, kind of like that Atlanta backlot, and then like all the outdoor stuff is like definitely the South.
Yeah. But I mean, I do kind of miss that in some of these big blockbuster movies where everything is green screen. Seems like, especially at least with the districts and stuff, they had carryover of some practical sets,
Yeah,
but again, kind of disappearing a lot more these days, which is
real people
unfortunate.
in real places. I will give this movie credit for that. There are real crowds. Which is
Yeah,
nice. Well, Cody, should we wrap things up with the 3 movie mini draft?
let's do it.
All right.
I'm pumped that these mini drafts are back. Are we doing snake style? What are we doing? Or just going back and
Well, I think
forth?
we should spin a wheel.
Okay, I think we should just go back and forth though. I think
No
that makes it,
snake, no
yeah.
snake, back and forth. But we'll spin a wheel for first pick.
First mini draft in a while.
You want to explain the rules?
Yeah. So if you've not listened to us for a bit, pretty simple. We each will be drafting 3 movies, from a specific category. This week is dystopian movies, which is pretty open of, any distant future that had some messed up stuff going on. But yeah, we'll spin a wheel, see who picks first, and then we'll just keep going back and forth until we have 3 picks.
Here's the wheel.
50-50 shot.
You get the first overall pick, Cody. Big,
What an honor.
big news. No.
What an honor.
All right, Cody. What are you gonna take in the
Yeah,
dystopian movie mini draft with the first overall pick?
There's so many good movies with dystopian futures, this one included, but I'm not going to pick this one. Um, Man, honestly, like I have a list of like 6 or 7 here, and I'd be happy with any of them. But I'll start it off with a personal favorite and take Mad Max Fury Road. Um, Great dystopian future, just absolutely has shut down society wise. Whatever that guy's name, Big Joe or whatever his name, is just running stuff.
A Morton Joe, I believe is
Yeah.
the character's name.
Yeah, he's not a Maya Morton, but yeah, action off the walls. Charlize, steals the show. Just love that movie. Shout out George Miller, man.
Well, I'm gonna take one from you that I know you want. I'm gonna grab The Matrix, Cody.
Yeah, that was on the list.
Obviously a movie that initially you don't realize is dystopian. It feels like a normal world, maybe a noir thriller movie, but the reality of what this world has become, what the earth has become, overtaken by robots, visually what the Wachowskis achieve is just incredible. Like we've talked about it so many times, sets the template for action films the next 25 years. Comes out at an incredibly prescient time, has been misinterpreted all hell, but is still just one of the great movies of all time.
Yeah, changed the course of cinema, in my opinion, for sure, especially from an action standpoint. Yeah, one of the greats. Good pick. I'll start off the second round. Oh man, this is difficult. I think I'm gonna not go with my personal favorites and take Children of Men, which I think is one of the most interesting dystopians there is. Of course, the dystopia of nobody can give birth anymore, which is very, very scary. But yeah, this movie's awesome. The intensity from the very beginning. It is honestly genuinely scary at moments as well, but all the performances are great. Shout out Julianne Moore, who's barely in it, but I love her. But yeah, really good movie.
This also another good Michael Caine performance as well in this
True.
film.
My cocaine.
Smoke a little weed, hanging out.
Such a good vibe.
100% was my next pick, so you stole
Nice.
it right from me.
I'm happy with that.
One of the greatest, I think, directed films. There's two sequences in particular. One are sequences that are just like incredible. The bomb going off in the beginning of the movie, and then of course the iconic car scene. It's just like, how the fuck do you do that? And Chiwetel, great as well.
Underrated. Yeah.
Definitely puts me a little bit of a corner. I'll go for you've got a movie we've covered. I'll throw in a movie that we've covered, and I'll take Snowpiercer.
Yep.
You can listen to our episode about why we love that so much. Got to have a little Bong Joon-ho on the team. Mickey 17 doesn't quite hit the taste buds, the feelers doesn't quite match the tough capitalistic future that is guaranteed for us. But Snowpiercer to me is a great train movie, as well as Catching Fire, another good train movie. So gotta have it on the team.
True. Love the train connection. Another just outstanding, I think, dystopian setup of the entire planet's on a train basically, and that's our world. Really cool. Okay. I think for my last pick here, I want to take something else. I'll go. Oh, I don't know. Should I stick with the dystopian theme or go with the best movie?
I'll not stick with the theme, Cody.
I'll take T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. It is definitely dystopian. I mean, machines taking over the world.
Arguably avoiding a dystopian future, but I will, I'll give it to you.
But you got a couple robots.
There's a couple scenes. Flash forward, John Connor.
Yeah, true. Shout out old John Connor as well.
If you'd pick Salvation, I would be, more understanding, because that obviously is a movie set.
That is the real dystopian movie, but I'm definitely not picking it. The action's great. Arnold's best performance. And the kid John Connor's even great. What's his name?
Eddie Furlong.
Eddie Furlong. How did I forget that?
We got to get him on the pod.
We probably could get him.
We've been circling Eddie for a long time. He'll be our first celebrity guest. I argue the validity of the movie, but I'll let the people decide.
That's fair.
I'm going to take WALL-E, which is a movie I did just recently watch, so I can shout out again. Pixar doing a an almost entirely silent film, or at least silent for the first half, is pretty incredible. Also making it a movie that is so much about the way that corporations are ruining our planet is pretty interesting. Disney, a corporation that's done a lot of bad things in the last week and in general, but this movie, stands out as one that really means something to me, and I think it's just beautiful. The music's great, beautiful love story between two robots. That's the future of robots I want, Cody, not Terminator.
I'm there with you, but yeah, another perfect movie. All three of your picks are 5-star films for me, so can't argue with it too much.
Well,
some other honorable mentions I want to throw out super quick: Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Awesome. Blade Runner 2049, almost picked that. And then Idiocracy as well, I think was that dystopian theme I was talking about of just from a dystopian standpoint. Really fun premise. So I want to shout that out too.
Definitely fits better than Terminator, but Terminator, better movie. So
100%.
I'll give you that. RoboCop, great movie, great flick.
I'd buy that for $1.
Looper is a good one. Yeah. You love Red. Red's a great guy. Stalker, classic cat film.
I still need to rewatch it, but
Interstellar potentially could
Yeah.
could be kind of
Another very good dystopian setup, I would say. The end results. Watch our episode on for our thoughts on that. But a dope dystopian.
They got rid of NASA. That's the dystopian I don't know.
True. They're burning crops, man. Rip,
I think we both
rip okra.
picked the best. Hey, that okra. Just wait till you hear what they're burning next year. It's not going to be good, man. Well, Cody, we're back. We did Catching Fire. Any final thoughts you want to leave the people with?
I mean, my final thoughts for this episode would be: I think this is my favorite, and I think it is the best young adult, film adaptation. So,
Are you saying that as an adult who is young?
Sure. I feel really old every day almost, but sure, we're still pretty young, right? But especially like this being our generation, that was kind of the perfect model for this movie. Super nostalgic, but I love it when I have nostalgic movies on rewatch that do hold up, and I still find new things with. So shout out Hunger Games, man. This franchise didn't deserve J-Law, and it didn't deserve to be this good. It is the only good one. Sorry if you disagree. But yeah, this movie rocks.
Final thing I will say is that it's okay to be an adult too. These movies, these books. There's time for growth as well.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, thank you guys for listening.
Stay capping. Bye.
What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.